I've been able to find things that people that have lived here their whole life are like, how did you find this? And what is it? Like, it's amazing. Like, I just like to explore, I guess. So I'm finding some roads and some dirt stuff that's blowing people's minds that have lived here their whole life.
So that was former professional road cyclist Dave Zabriskie talking about some of the secret trails he's found down in the Santa Monica Mountains near Los Angeles. I've got Dave and his business partner, Ryan Steers, who's a former professional mountain bike racer on the podcast. The two have teamed up for a gravel camp in Southern California, which sounds really cool. I was excited to talk to the guys just as they've both come from different sides of the sport, which I think is pretty typical for a lot of us. There's a lot of mountain bikers coming to gravel and also a lot of roadies. But this is an opportunity to talk to two guys who have done it in the professional ranks and hear what they have to say about gravel. So with that, let's jump right in. All right, this week on the podcast, we've got Ryan and Dave. Ryan and Dave, thanks for joining us.
You bet, man.
You're welcome.
Right on. I always like to start the conversation by finding out how you came to gravel cycling.
This is Dave. Years ago, actually, I built before they had gravel bikes, I built a mountain bike, a Niner, full rigid, and then I just put drop bars on it, and I took that to Europe because I wanted kind of some adventure in between the racing and the regular road training. It was something I've been toying with for quite a long time, and then it was pretty cool when they started. A couple people, it seemed like it almost seemed to me like the Tusher and the Crusher was this event that came along where he had a mix of surfaces, and he was like, bring whatever bike you think will work. It kind of seemed to me that they started building bikes for events like that, which kind of turned into the gravel thing. It's been cool for me because it's something I've been doing even before the gravel bikes were built.
Yeah, I think you're right. I talked to a lot of guys who are sort of banging around on it with events like that, or out here in Northern California, the Grasshopper Series has been around for 20 years. And it really wasn't until the last 5 years that the bikes were really suited for what that race course was offering.
Yeah, it's super cool.
How about you, Ryan? So you got a little bit different background, not on the roadside per se.
Yeah, I've always been a mountain biker, and I was working at a shop, was that maybe 4 or 5 years ago when the first gravel bikes really started to come out. I think it was like the Salsa Warbird that we were carrying, and I had no idea what to think of it. I thought it was just something people in the Midwest did on gravel roads, and then flash forward 2 or 3 years later, starting to do the Belgian waffle ride and riding my road bike a lot on the dirt and trails. We were doing basically everything on the road bikes with 28s. And, after like 5 or 6 flats, you're just getting a little frustrated, and then finally realized that there were some proper bikes coming out that could handle everything. Around here in Los Angeles, there's a lot of single track and trails and fire roads. So just got drawn into gravel by the ability to connect everything. It's cool because you can go out for a ride and ride fire roads and trails and have what would be a pretty boring mountain bike ride actually be a really fun ride on a gravel bike. Started to do some of those events, the Belgian waffle ride. Dave talked me into the Crusher a couple years ago, and yeah, got hooked on that, and the whole atmosphere that the gravel races bring was really attractive. So it drew me in.
Yeah, absolutely. Were there things you could point to on the bike that really made the differance?
Yeah, the tire clearance for sure, being able to run 38s and sorry, go ahead, Dave.
The tubeless technology as well, just because riding a road bike on that stuff, you'd be flattened all the time. Just to be able to tie everything together now. Like, you can still, on that 3T bike I have, you can go out and tear ass on the road all day, and then if you see a trail, you can hit that and go pretty fast as well. Like, so it's just fun to tie it all together. But I'd say the tires has probably been the biggest improvement.
And that 3T bike, I think, is a really interesting platform. Are you running 700Cs on there or 650Bs, Dave?
Yeah, I just stick with the 650s. I thought about putting some 700s in, but I kind of like the cushiness that those 650s have. So, and I don't notice too much of a speed loss.
Yeah, how about you, Ryan? What's your equipment look like?
Yeah, I'm riding the giant TCX setup with got a 48 on the front and a 38 in the rear, which is pretty nice around here. A little traction when it's sandy, but then also rolls pretty fast on the pavement. I've been liking that setup a lot.
And is that a 700C wheel set?
It is. It's a 700. Yeah, it's like a cross bike design. It's a little more aggressive.
Ryan's 8 feet tall.
Yeah, I'm 6.5 feet tall, so I got
He
about
needs big.
400 millimeters of exposed post, so I get like an inch of travel on the post. It's pretty sweet.
It looks like you're on 24-inch wheels.
Exactly. Yeah, I ride a 29er, and everyone's like, "Is that a 750, 27.5?" I'm like, "No, yeah, it's a full-on 700."
Yeah, I found myself in Dave's camp. I've got an open with 650Bs, and I tend to just leave those on there, even though I have a 700C wheel set kicking around. It's part laziness and part in Northern Cal. Like the trails are fairly rough. I think it's similar to what you guys experienced down there. It's like fast fire roads, some single track here and there, but we have decent amount of steeps here. So I find having that tire volume is just preventing me from flatting and makes it a really fun bike to throw around. So I got a controversial question for you guys. LA sucks for cycling. True or false?
I think the whole intent is the irony, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was telling Ryan, I'm lucky enough to be married to a woman who hails from Topanga, California, and still has family down there.
Okay.
And previously, I probably would have answered yes to LA sucks for cycling, but after spending a decade visiting Topanga, I've just fallen in love with the riding down there. I think you guys are really blessed. Tell us a little bit about the various bits of terrain that people not familiar with the LA area might not be aware even exists for gravel riding down there.
I think the Backbone Trail is probably one of the most famous trails that connects Santa Monica. It goes about 70 miles north through the Santa Monica Mountains, and that's pretty fun. A lot of that's rideable on a gravel bike. You really got to pick your lines carefully, but there's an unlimited number of fire roads just all through Malibu that you can link up. And then I live right by Chesborough and Amundsen Ranch. There's tons of fire roads and riding. So once you start connecting the fire roads in single track, I mean, you can ride from Santa Monica to Simi to Malibu with hardly touching any pavement in between. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. How about you, Dave? Where are you starting most of your rides from?
Yeah, I don't live far from Ryan. I've been able to find things that people that have lived here their whole life, they're like, how did you find this? And what is it? Like, it's amazing. Like, I just like to explore, I guess. So I'm finding some roads and some dirt stuff that's blowing people's minds that have lived here their whole life.
I just gonna say that whole pocket north of Topanga towards Malibu along the Backbone Trail, when I rode it over the holidays, I was just shocked at how much open space there was, the views you were getting there, and the fact that I didn't see anyone.
Yeah,
there's nobody up there. There's 14 million people in Los Angeles County, and you ride it on a weekday, and you'll maybe run into one or two cyclists or a jogger. It's empty.
Yeah, you guys are lucky to ride out of that area. I think it's really something special. What I haven't seen down there, and correct me if I'm wrong, is a lot of gravel events, whether they're rides or races, right in that area. Is there a reason for it? Is it sort of, as Dave mentioned, private land that you end up getting on?
Yeah, I'm not sure what there is a few, like, I think they're just more, like you'd have to live here to know about them. I'm not sure they're trying to bring in people from all over the place. Okay,
so more like sort of shop-based rides that are pretty big, but not necessarily broadcast.
Yeah, like there's one in Ohio that's a mob shop. They have some good events up there that are really cool. And then Peddler's Fork has really cool events. There's one in Redlands coming up, but never run out of stuff to explore down here. Like, it's just so gigantic.
I've done the gravel mob ride in Ojai the last couple of years, and I love that one. Again, another area of the country where it's like spectacular 60-mile loop or whatever it is. Great trails, which combine like fun fire roads, both climbing and descents, and then a shot of tequila before that last single track descent. I think is a nice touch.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I was going to say as well, I think our area is really focused on the road riding. There's a ton of road cyclists out here, and there's a lot of Grand Fondos and events that are just on the pavement. So I think we're trying to get people off that more. There's so much more to see than the roads, which is a shame that most people don't get off of them. So we're just trying to bring people onto the dirt a little more. There's a lot out there.
Yes, two guys who are big advocates for gravel cycling. What do you see are the hesitations from people, whether they're in the road camp or the mountain bike camp, to trying this new part of the sport out?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you're a real hardcore roadie, I mean, just the thought of getting your shoes dirty sometimes is scary. For me, it's pretty simple. I just don't want to deal with cars. Those fire roads are there and nobody's on them, and it's a lot safer. So That's kind of what draws me to it, is I don't have to look over my shoulder every 2 seconds. But I mean, some of these guys, you just have to introduce them to it. Like, I've done a few group rides where there'll be a really short, smooth section, and I try to take them on there, and they get pretty excited, and then they kind of get interested. Like, well, what bike should I get? How do I do this? How do I do that? It's just kind of just getting somebody's toes wet a little bit, and then they see the light.
Yeah, it seems to be a common theme with people I talk to. It's like once they give it a try, they get over that fear of getting off road. If they're on the roadside, all of a sudden they realize, for all the benefits you just described, that it's really the place to be if you've got this kind of terrain in your backyard.
I think people are a little afraid of getting lost out there too. It's a big area. It's LA, so you're not really going to get lost. But if you take a wrong turn, you could end up, down at the beach and then find yourself 3 hours from where you thought you were going to end up.
The wrong side of a ridge line, and all of a sudden you're nowhere near where you think you're going to be.
Exactly. The bad side of Malibu.
Yeah, I think you're right. One of you guys were mentioning, the idea of getting lost and how gravel riding, there's this sort of adventure when you're getting out there. I think that's one of the things that's creating this big opportunity for events and otherwise group rides, just because it's nice to have someone show you some new terrain, and it really adds to, your repertoire if you learn some new trails.
It's really one bike that ties a lot of things together. When I got the bike, I didn't think I'd ride it as much as I have, but it really replaces almost everything, unless you want to do jumps.
I've been doing them on my gravel bike, if you've been looking at my Instagram. So there you go.
Yeah,
you can do everything.
What did we decide on? Is that getting rad or getting stoked?
I think it's rad. We use rad.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems like the sort of emerging gravel cycling scene is also opening up some post-professional cycling career opportunities for some of your former co-workers in the Peloton. I think that sort of visuals of adventure really make sense for a lot of the cycling brands. So if you've got a guy who's got, a reputation or a history in the sport, and then he's getting out there in the woods and testing the equipment, I just think it's sort of a natural tie-in for a lot of these bike brands to want to stay affiliated with them.
Yeah, and it's win-win. They get to sell another bike too. Bike companies love it because it's, not many people have a gravel bike yet, so they're excited to, get people on a gravel bike out riding. Most people have a mountain bike or a road bike, and who doesn't love to get a new bike? So.
Exactly. Although the dirty little secret is, as you sort of alluded to, Dave, once you get one of these gravel bikes, you find out you can ride it on the road in the dirt just as well, and you might start shelving your road bike.
Yeah.
Hey, so you guys are starting a really exciting new project in the next couple months with the gravel camp. Can you guys tell me about what inspired that and what it's all about?
Sure. It's called D's Nuthouse, or the Nuthouse. You have to commit yourself to gravel because it's kind of a therapeutic. It has been therapeutic for me. It's very. I've always been crazy, but this has helped me from going insane, type of thing. So we're just inviting people to come commit themselves to our asylum, which takes place here in the Santa Monica Mountains, and hopefully, if they commit themselves hard enough, they can come out, with a little bit of sanity, or maybe less. We're not quite sure what will happen yet.
So it's a 3-day adventure, right?
Yeah, it's a Monday to Thursday gravel camp. We're doing all the meals at Peddler's Fork and a meal stop on a long ride one day. It includes lodging, support, snacks, food, and we're going to show people some of the best stuff that the Santa Monica Mountains has to offer. It's without the fear of getting lost or not knowing where to go. And it's been fun. We've had a lot of friends coming in from out of town that we've been taking around and showing them, and just kind of blowing their minds with what's out here, and kind of help foster the idea of how we should really just get people out and show them what we have in our backyard here, because it's so amazing. And a lot of people go to, Spain and do these big trips with the similar terrain and weather that we have here. And it's, we're close to LAX. The weather's nice. We're in Southern California, so it's got all the conveniences of a big city and not that far away for everyone. It's easy to get to, but you're going to feel miles away up in the mountains.
That sounds great. What are the rides going to look like? So if I'm training and trying to get myself prepared to join the asylum down there, What do I need to get in my legs to survive those 3 days?
That's a good question. It's definitely not a race pace type situation. So I wouldn't say it's something everybody could do, but I'd say it's something most everybody could do. There'll be plenty of regroups. It'll be pretty casual pace. If you want to push yourself, you're free to do that on the uphills, not the downhills. Our goal isn't to split up a group and make everyone kill themselves. It's to get out in nature and find cool things and have good adventures and have good times.
And what does that Queen stage look like in terms of mileage and elevation gain?
The Wednesday Malibu day that we've got set up, it's kind of the best of everything that Malibu has to offer. Malibu Creek State Park through Yerba Buena, some really fun paved sections. And that's going to be, we'll leave early, but it's probably going to be 70, 80 miles and probably close to 10,000 feet of climbing with a lunch stop thrown in the middle in Malibu. That's a beautiful little place kind of up in the woods there. So there's going to be support and regroups and everything, so it's not going to be a death march by any means. But it'll be a long day with a lot of climbing. Just Malibu in general, you've got to be, there's some, 3,000 feet to the top from the ocean. So just to get over, there's some pretty good climbs built in.
Yeah, there's no way to avoid that coastal range if you're trying to get out of there.
Yeah, exactly. But now we know about we got free helicopter service, so it's cool.
For all guests.
All guests, you're just responsible for calling 911 on your own.
And then you guys are going to go up into Topanga, it looks like, one day.
Yeah, Topanga is pretty close to Peddler's Fork, so it's a pretty easy jaunt up there. But then once you get into Topanga, you've got really spectacular views of downtown Los Angeles and Santa Monica, and it's a really pretty place to ride because you can see so much of the urban area below you. But there's tons of fire roads and trails up there, and then I think we're going to have to throw in a fun little coffee banana bread stop at Topanga Creek Outpost, one of the little hidden gem bike shops up in Topanga that has done a lot to foster the cycling community up there.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually credit Chris and his Instagram feed for kind of getting me into the sport in many ways.
Yeah, he's done a great job of getting people on the bikes. He's so welcoming to everyone that wants to ride, and they do a Saturday morning ride for all scale levels. I credit him with getting me into racing and showing me all the trails up there. There's a ton of hidden stuff that they're uncovering every week, which is really cool that you can have a bike shop in Topanga and do a ride every week and still, 6-7 years later, be finding new trails. It's really neat.
Yeah, I think for anybody down there in that region or anybody visiting, hitting that Saturday ride is a real special treat. I've found they've been inviting to me in any bike I've showed up on. So I've showed up on a mountain bike, I've borrowed a fat bike from them, I've ridden a cyclocross bike on that Saturday ride, and across the board of the 20 or 30 riders that are out there, you're going to see almost every genre of bike represented every Saturday, and somehow it manages to all work together. So anything else that our listeners should know about the gravel camp? How many people are you accepting, and what are the dates for the upcoming camps?
The first one we're going to keep really, really small to a handful of people, and then we're looking ideally to probably have 12 or less to keep it intimate. Ideally, probably around 10 or so riders, just so we don't get too split up, and we'll have a couple other ride leaders as well thrown in to keep the group together. But the goal is to keep it small and intimate. And, we did, it's hard to keep a bunch of people together. We did a group ride yesterday with about 50, and things get a little more spread out and hard to wrangle. So we want people to have fun and enjoy themselves, but not be afraid of getting lost or missing a regroup or anything like that, or getting left out in the woods to the mountain lions.
And what are the dates for the camps, and what's the website that people can check out to find out more?
Yeah, the first one is going to be in April from the 16th to the 19th. It's we sandwiched it in between Belgian Waffle Ride and Sea Otter. So if you're doing any of those events, it's kind of a fun stop in between. I know my legs are going to be pretty cooked on that first day from Belgian Waffle Ride, which is also a blast, but definitely not easy. So yeah, April, the first one, and the website is thesnuthouse.com. You can go check it out there. We've got some of the details and basically a bunch of photos too, because I think those are way more valuable than writing things about the riding, is when people can look and see see where they're going to be riding is a big selling point.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I know you guys are active on Instagram. Where can they follow you there?
We've got the @Nuthouse account, and then Dave's got his account, and I'm @RSteers, the letter R, and then STEERS.
I'm D Zabriskie, @D Zabriskie. I just did a sweet post with some old action figure I found of Kevin Costner, if anyone wants to take a look.
Well, there you go. We've got a couple Instagram accounts you have to follow, and one is very mysterious.
It makes no sense.
Well, right on, guys. I appreciate you joining me on the podcast this week, and I wish you all the best on the camps, and I hope they're filled to capacity, and hopefully I can come down and pedal with you guys sometime.
Yeah, thanks, Craig. See you at the mob shop, probably.
Right on. So that was a blast talking to Dave and Ryan. I think their gravel camps are going to be really a lot of fun. Those Santa Monica mountains have tons of trails just looping between Malibu and Topanga and Calabasas. Definitely join them for the camps. Follow them on Instagram to check out some of those trails, or follow them on Strava. I highly recommend checking out that part of the country. And as for us here at The Gravel Ride, definitely follow us on Instagram @The Gravel Ride. You can shoot me a note at craig@thegravelride.bike or follow me on Strava. I'd love to get your feedback, ratings, and reviews, and spread the word. It really helps us grow. Until next time, go out there and get some adventure.
Okay, the mountain bikers use the word rad, and gravel people use stoke, is what I'm gathering.
Yeah. Well, we're Californians, right? We can use either.
Okay, got it.
We can have a debate on that subject if you want.
No, we're all right. All right, I'm ready. I'm in character.
All right, game face on. Right on, guys.